It was a clear spring morning when the young monk approached the ancient temple. He had traveled many miles to seek wisdom from the renowned master. As the monk entered the tranquil garden, he saw the old master sitting calmly beneath a cherry blossom tree, eyes closed in meditation. The monk quietly walked over and sat down on the stone steps. After some time, the master opened his eyes and regarded the monk. "What troubles you, young seeker?" he asked kindly. The monk replied, "Master, I have endured much suffering in my life. Sometimes I fear I may succumb to anger and despair. Please, show me how to find peace." The master nodded slowly. He reached for his bow and removed 2 arrows from his quiver. Holding them up, he said, "Being hit by 1 arrow is painful, but being hit by a second arrow causes even more pain. The first arrow represents the suffering that life brings us all. The second arrow represents the suffering we create for ourselves through resentment and anger. 1 arrow comes from outside forces, the other from within. Remember this difference." The monk contemplated the master's words. The old master continued, "When hardship arises, do not let your mind shoot a second arrow. Remain centered, at peace with what is. React with wisdom, not anger." He went on, "Some pains cannot be avoided, but you can choose to prevent deeper suffering from arising in reaction to them. Be like the bamboo which bends with the storm but does not break." The monk sighed, "But how can I remain unshaken when faced with such troubles?" "Practice mindfulness in all things," advised the master. "When emotion looms, pause and observe it with distance before acting. Consider the source, recognize its ephemeral nature." He placed a hand gently on the monk's shoulder. "Cultivate equanimity. See all things as passing without clinging or pushing away." The monk felt the truth in the old man's words. Perhaps resilience lay not in avoiding pain but responding to it with wisdom. By maintaining inner stillness amid the arrows life discharged, suffering could be transformed into insight. The master could see the monk turning these thoughts in his mind. He decided to share one final teaching. "There is an old story from long ago that illustrates this lesson," began the master. "Once there was a woman who lost her only son. In her grief, she went to the Buddha and asked if he could bring her son back to life. What do you suppose the Buddha said to her?" The monk pondered this for a moment. Then he replied, "I imagine the Buddha told her that nothing can reverse what has passed, but we can choose how to respond in the present moment." The master nodded approvingly. "Just so. The Buddha said, 'Fetch me a mustard seed from any home that has known no death, and I shall resurrect your son.' When the woman was unable to find such a home, she realized impermanence touches all. Accepting this truth, she found peace." The master concluded, "Do not dwell on the unchangeable past or unknowable future. Face each moment with courage and equanimity. Therein lies freedom." The monk bowed deeply, his heart filled with gratitude. The monk stayed with the master for some time after that, learning the practices of mindfulness and non-attachment. He learned to pause when emotions arose, examining their roots without judgment before responding. Bit by bit, he strengthened his resilience against the arrows of life. He faced pains large and small with equanimity, never firing back the second arrow of resentment. When it came time for the monk to depart, he bowed low before the master in appreciation. "Your teachings have shown me how to transmute suffering into wisdom. I will carry this lesson with me always." The old master smiled warmly and placed a weathered hand on the monk's shoulder. "Take these insights and share them with others struggling under the weight of their second arrows. By living with compassion for oneself and others, we travel the path of liberation." The monk nodded, his eyes bright with understanding. He turned and made his way back down the winding mountain path, a lightness in his heart. Though arrows may pierce him again, he would meet them with mindfulness and courage, for he knew the power of resilience now lay within. This is Narrative Dreamscape. Thanks for watching.